Well, good evening, Internet students. Hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to the next lesson, 21. And this lesson will talk about inserting your steel and also the gutter system for your log home. And it's going to be a bifurcated process. And just as a special tidbit, I give tidbits once in a while throughout these videos, but remember that these videos are between 15 minutes and 30 minutes. Typically, I take one sheet of an 8 by 10 typed up script, and that takes me 5 minutes to go through. So what I'm trying to say here, students, is that the reason why I don't speak in a video like you see in YouTube, where somebody's cutting a PEX plumbing line or they're cutting, the um, vent for the hot water tank in their basement, is because I can speed up those videos, 2, 4, 8 times faster. And then I have already gone out to the internet and done a lot of research on each one of these scripts. So I put in these scripts all the nuggets needed for each one of these lessons. So I just want you to understand is I think that these are much better put together because when you're watching Billy Bob on the internet use a blowtorch and he burns his hands and it takes 5 minutes to tell a joke and get over that, I've already given you all the nuggets needed within those 5 minutes to keep you moving forward and speed up the pace, by increasing the photographs going across your screen and then also increasing the pace of the videos as well. So I give you much more packed information in these lessons. So that's why I did them like this. So FYI. All right. In this lesson, the student will understand how to install steel roofing sheets, select the color, and also a palette that correlates to the logs for your log home. You will understand how to climb up and down various types of ladders with safety in mind, how to hook your safety harness to your belt, and complete the entire roofing aspect of your DIY project, up to and including installing gutters and having proper runoff of rainwater. Tools: cordless screw gun with battery charged, tin snips, hammer, mallet, 28-foot ladder, step ladder, 12 feet, roofing screws with rubber grommets, sealant, tape, peaks, valleys, fascia, and soffits, which are all made of steel. These are not the wooden ones that we did back in lesson 19. These are steel soffits and fascias. Laying out of steel roofing pieces and also hoisting them up to the roof safely by yourself. Step 1, planning the milestone. Once the steel arrives from your vendor onto your job site, remember that you ordered this by making accurate measurements and sending them off to the manufacturer along with pictures if they requested them. You're going to want to take inventory of every component that is delivered. If anything is missing, report it back to the steel company immediately and have them send out a new truck with the proper contents in them. Now is a good time to get familiar with your blueprints again. This is, of course, is your certified blueprints. Step 2, installing steel roofing sheets. Start at the highest peak first. In my case, it was over the great room. Best to walk on the OSB on top of the lower roofs first, so you don't want to steel them. In other words, put steel sheets on them because the steel is slick. So you want to do your highest points first. And then remember, back in lesson 19, you made your insulation pods, which have OSB covering them. So that's what you want to walk on. You got better footing and better gripping for your feet. So as you install the first sheet of steel, ensure that it is squared properly because the rest of your roof will be predicated upon the position of the first steel sheet. Insert the rubber grommet screws into the steel on its grooved portion, which is about every 6 inches. You also want to go horizontal with the rubber grommet screws inside every grooved panel on the steel is what they recommend. In between each overlapping sheet, two-sided tape needs to run up and down the crease the entire distance. In addition, you're going to insert screws at every 6 inches vertically down and overlapping grooves. Continue this process until the entire side of the roof is covered. So essentially you're doing one side of the roof. Remember my roof, I've got 2 wings and the one main roof, so that means there's 4 sides. On the main roof, there's 6 sides. On the main roof there's 2 sides. Each one of the 2 wings have 2 sides each, which is another 4 sides. So 2 plus 4 is 6 sides. You should have to cut through the steel. The manufacturer sends out a diamond speckled saw blade, and it does the job in cutting the steel. So in other words, students, you're going to have to cut this steel, and you can cut it up on your roof if you want to. However, it's very windy where I'm at, living in the American Redoubt region. So I made all my cuts down below and then hoisted them up, accurately already pre-cut. Step 3, installing ridge vents. Now that the steel has been installed on both sides of your great room, the upper roof, you want to complete the process by forming a peak with the ridge vents. This is by placing the steel screws about every 6 inches across the ridge vent, and also ensuring that it is in alignment with the ridge of the roof. Be sure you carry up your ridge vent very carefully, as they are usually long pieces, 12 to 16 feet long, and then install them across the entire ridge line and across all of the roofs, including your wings. Step 4, installing steel, not wood fascia. Remember, the wood fascia was installed already in lesson 19. This is the steel fascia that covers the part of the wood fascia. Your wood fascia was a 1x10. This steel fascia is actually 4 inches covering your 1x10. To finish off the roof entirely, install the fascia the same way you did on your wood fascia. This fascia is the same color as your tin roof. In my case, it's black because that was color coordinated with my logs. You will cut the fascia with tin snips, and at an angle the pitch of the roof is set at. So if your roof is a 12-12 pitch, students, you have to cut the fascia at 45-degree angle when it butts at the peak. Instead of using nails, as you did for the wooden fascia, I want you to use screws, which are inserted right through the wooden fascia and into the honeycomb boxes which you built for insulation in your lesson 19. Once both sides of the peak are installed, repeat the process of installing the fascia at the bottom portion of your roof. Since this portion is lengthwise, you don't need any angular cuts. So remember, at the bottom portion, students, where it's flat and your soffit hangs out, you're going to put your fascia there, and you don't have to cut angles, and you can see from the picture here. Tip: cut with tin snips any holes needed for plumbing vents and chimney protruding through the roof. Hopefully you've already cut through the OSB sheet, as also in your tongue and groove ceiling inside of your great room. Consult your certified plans for more information on this step. And remember, for your plumbing step coming up in the future here, I forget what number of lesson that is. I think it's lesson 25 or one of those. You have to have an air vent that goes to the roof, and then you also have to have a hot water tank vent that goes through the roof, and it has to go as close to the peak as possible. So make sure you understand that as you're building your roof, because that's one of the key elements to allow for those 2 venting systems to be accurately installed in your professionally grade job that you're doing. Now do the same step and on each wing and until your fascia is installed on all the wings. Okay, take a step back and take a few pictures for the history books. Your roof is completely done, except don't put away your tools yet, because we have one more step. Step 5, installing the gutter system. So in this case, remember how we had to grade the property properly to allow runoff of water? And that's imperative. You also, around your footer, when you poured your footer, you had a pipe, drainage pipe with hole perforations towards the top, and those holes were 120 degrees out of sync with each other. And you have to understand that that will take water away from your footer. However, you still have to grade the proper two, 2 to 3 inches per 10 feet. And then also, your drainage system should also be adequately sloped, and you want to have it the correct color that matches your logs. In my case, I use brown because I have kind of a brown stain on my logs. And then a couple of key elements here about water. Water runs down the spout to the ground, and it's graded again at about 3 inches per every 10 feet. In addition, the downward spout should run off water at least 10 feet out from the base of your home. Be sure to purchase enough gutter housing to run the water at least 10 feet from the base of the house. Be sure to check with local construction codes and with your county or city laws which stipulate gutter systems. So about foundations once more. The water runs off the roof. Of course, you got 6 roofs, and into the downward spout of your gutter system, and at least 10 feet from your house. All right, you got that down. Cool. Remember that water will take the path of least resistance, so an 8-foot high basement wall should be safe from water erosion if that roof water is dumped 10 feet away. However, a quick tip here, the gutters need to be installed on all portions of the roof which dumps water onto the ground. In other words, a roof overhanging another roof does not need a gutter system, as the bottom roof will pick up the drainage from that upper roof and then funnel it down into its downspout of its gutter system. And I would use metallic screws, by the way, students, to affix your gutter system to your house. It's very windy where I live, so it was kind of pulling it off with the clamps. So that seems to be the way around that. Step 6. So stargazing. The Rocky Mountains are very lit up at night. There's no city lights. In fact, the reason why I picked this area is because NASA has satellite pictures at night, and you can see that there's hardly any lights on at night up in the American Redoubt region. However, on both coasts, it's almost always lit up, and even out through the Midwest. So the Northern Rockies are known as Big Sky Country. With little city lights and darkened sky, you can literally see the heavens with a naked eye. Do you see Orion's Belt, Polaris, Ursa Minor? Are there any planets out there this evening shining brighter than stars? Do you see the moon and its sea of tranquility? Have some imagination, students, and some downtime, and enjoy the night sky. And I also have a celestial telescope that is a very high-powered one and has a computer tracking mechanism, so I can just type in, for instance, Orion's Belt, and I type in the latitude and longitude of where I'm standing, and also the date and time, and it automatically tracks the sky and finds it. And then, of course, with the rotation of the Earth, the telescope computer will always move the telescope with the position of Orion's Belt, because that's what I programmed it into. And then you can pretty much talk to people and have the computer track the sky for you. So it's very nice and easy to do. So, all right, so that's it for steel roof. One more quick tip: the rubber grommet screws are important because where I live, it could get to 100 degrees in the summertime, and then it could go down to 40 below zero. In the wintertime. And you might be asking, well, is that Celsius? Well, it doesn't matter, because 40 below zero is where both of the temperature scales cross. So 40 below zero is equal to Celsius 40 below zero to Fahrenheit 40 below zero. So anyhow, little scientific tidbit for you. So go ahead and be sure to click the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and once again, students, if you feel led, please drop a $5 donation, or $10 would be great. and Godspeed.